Welcome back to Pennies and Plans, where we discuss all things finance and early retirement related. In this episode, we'll discuss our plans to buy a small retirement gite in central France. We'll look at the issues and factors we considered and what decision we came to in the end. So if you're considering something like this as part of your retirement plans also, stay tuned. So for a number of years, Bob and I have had a small gite in France in our retirement plans. Nothing too fancy or extravagant, just a small place that was ours and that we could retreat to when it suited us. We would have it set up as a home-to-home arrangement, so no need for lots of baggage. We just needed to arrive, get some food and wine, and hey presto, we'd be good to go. Like some people, we have known friends and family members that have a second retirement home abroad, and this always appealed to us. We deemed France to be the best location for us for various reasons, but it could easily have been some areas of Spain too. We loved the slower pace of life, the weather, the food, the history, the culture, and for us, France sounded perfect. So what's our thoughts on this now? Hello and welcome to our channel. We are Lizzie and Bob. We're in our 50s, we live in Glasgow, Scotland, and we're heading towards our goal of early retirement by making plans and being careful with our money. Retirement really does throw up so many questions, but hopefully we can break these areas down into manageable and sensible sections that will help us with our plans, choices and decisions. We hope you enjoy and come along with us on this journey. So, to begin with, we had to decide our reasons for. For us, having a little gite in France, the key reasons were it had a pleasant climate, the quality of life was good, it seemed more affordable in terms of living, it had access to lots of amenities, and there was proximity to lots of other European countries for us to do some travelling. Our first starting point was to decide on a rough budget of what we could afford and what we would like in terms of the property itself. Then we would consider the amenities and services nearby. So we used sites like Rightmove, A Place in the Sun, and various other websites, and we started keeping favourite folders of places that met our criteria. So for us, we were looking for a minimum of 3 bedrooms, maximum price of £80,000, and we were looking in the Vienne, Charente regions. To get the most value for our money, for our budget, we centred our search locations in central France. These areas are generally less populated and there are a lot of older style properties, some of them which need a bit of TLC to bring them back to life. And as early retirees, with time and enthusiasm, we felt that would be right up our street as a new project. Now there was a lot of sifting through and rejecting at this stage, but there were also some that made it onto our potential lists. And once a property got onto our radar, then it moved into the next level of research. So that included Google Street Views, location mapping, getting statistics for the area, looking at the services for the area. Again, we often got dashed at this stage as either the location was just not us or it lacked something that we felt was really essential. We also started to watch various YouTubers at this stage, people that had either moved to France or were in the process of doing up their old property. Some of these channels we discarded as they were out of our league and a bit too full of themselves. But one that we have stuck with is Brooke and Rebecca from Living in the Loire. They are a really lovely couple with a young family and we have so much admiration for them. They have also done a brilliant job in their property and with their new life in France. So give them a watch if you're interested in France and how they're getting on. Now, our first real contender was a pretty nondescript property. It was nondescript from the outside, but it had so much space and potential behind the gates and doors. It was €86,000, which at that time was about £77,000, and we suspected we could probably have got it down to about £6,000 to £8,000 as it had been up for sale for some time. The house was livable, but it did need some upgrading and updating. It had an inner courtyard, a large plot of land, a barn, a garage, and another large outbuilding which could be used for other types of projects. It was located in the historic area of Saint-Savin in Vienne, which was about 45 kilometres east of Poitiers. The main feature of the area is the Abbey, which is on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Looks stunning, sounds fantastic. So what happened? Well, at this point, we're not quite in the position to retire. We're also in the middle of a pandemic, and there were all the unknowns around Brexit and what that meant for expats, for travel, etc. So we continued with all our research, continued to add properties, explored the legal and financial aspects in more depth, and we planned our future trips for site visits for places on our list. We read the latest developments around Brexit, etc., etc. Well, after much research, hours spent reading, and a lot of soul searching, we decided that buying a little Gite in France was not going to work for us, and it is no longer a part of our retirement plans. There were a number of reasons for this, and although some people might think, well, those are pretty obvious, we are great believers in researching things for ourselves. We look, we analyse data, and we do all this before we make any decisions that we potentially might regret. So our reasons for ruling out the France Gite include Brexit. This really has made travel and life in the EU so much more difficult than what we had in the past. Brexit has been a complete disaster in our view, and any small glimmer of hope that we had of Scotland becoming an independent country and rejoining the EU is very far off in our opinion. With Brexit, or Brexit as we like to call it, there are some real issues around residency and visa requirements, healthcare access, pension and financial considerations, our freedom of movement, and the exchange rates and cost of living. Short-term stays, so UK citizens can visit France and others in the Schengen area for tourism, business trips, and other short stays of up to 90 days within a 180-day period without requiring a visa. If we want to stay longer than 90 days, then we need to obtain a long stay visa or a residency permit, and the type of permit depends on the purpose of the stay. The two main options that would be open to us would be a visitor visa for retirees who do not intend to work in France. That might be possible, and it can allow us 1 year of stay, but it doesn't provide the same rights as a residency permit. The second option would be to try and get a residency permit, and that's if we wanted to reside in France long term. Again, this is not something that we were really considering staying permanently in France, so it didn't really appeal to us either. The next main consideration was to do with finances. Unless you've got a lot of available money in your retirement, then owning and maintaining a second property is going to be expensive. It's not just the initial costs, but the ongoing running and maintenance costs associated with both properties, especially if they are sitting unoccupied for significant periods of time. Purchasing a second home in France would entail significant costs. The property cost itself, maintenance, property taxes, and potential currency fluctuations. These expenses would have strained our retirement budget, and they would have limited our financial flexibility. So for that reason, and looking at the costings of what these would cost, we decided this wasn't great because the costs were quickly adding up. Now, there were other reasons as to why we were against it. We had the whole uncertain political and economic climate at the time. There was a complex legal and tax system in France. We had obviously the cultural adjustment and language barriers that we would need to get over, and there was some distance from family and our support network. Of all of these other considerations was the fact that we would probably need to take on some DIY renovations, and we've done that sort of thing in the past. But we're now that bit older and we're looking to do less of that sort of work. So owning two properties would affect our travel elsewhere too, as we would not be able to afford to do that. We still want the freedom to travel, explore different countries and experience new cultures, all without feeling tied down to any particular locations. By avoiding the responsibility of a second home, we should be able to retain the ability to pursue spontaneous adventures and change our plans as we desire. Also, as we get older in retirement, we'd also need to consider what to do with the property. And there is that one issue of property inheritance if one of us dies, as France is quite strict about this. So that concludes our discussion on why we have decided against purchasing a second home in France in our retirement. Remember, everyone's circumstances, preferences and retirement plans are unique. So it's crucial to carefully evaluate these factors and weigh them against any potential benefits before you make such a significant decision. It's really important to conduct thorough research, visit potential locations, and consider personal preferences before making any real estate decisions. Visiting France for an extended period or renting a property before committing to a purchase can provide valuable insights and help you determine if it's the right choice for your retirement. Consulting with legal and financial professionals can also help ensure a smooth buying process and provide personalised advice based on your specific circumstances. We hope this video has provided some valuable insights and helped you reflect on your own retirement plans. In a future episode, we will explore our thoughts on having a mobile home on wheels in our retirement. We hope you can join us for that. Thanks for watching and listening. We hope you found this information valuable, and if you are on a similar journey to us, then please consider liking, subscribing and dinging that bell for future updates. In the meantime, it's onwards and upwards towards retirement for us.